Hello and welcome to the Best Kept Secrets of Greene County, New York podcast, where we're letting the Catskills out of the bag. I'm your host, Thomas Boomhower, and joining me, as he always does, it's the man behind the curtain, Mark Gustavson.
Hey, Thomas.
How are you doing, Mark?
Doing well. Doing about as well as I possibly could be. Like my father used to say, I'm on the right side of the grass. So it's all good.
And today we are kicking off the new year by closing out the first season of the podcast, and we are thrilled to be joined by James Hannes, the Director of Economic Development and Executive Director of the Greene County Economic Development Corporation, and Beth Stewart, the President and Executive Director of the Greene County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day, out of your insane schedules to talk to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So happy to be here.
Well, we've been letting the Catskills out of the bag now for our first season. This is episode 11. And we visited a ton of local businesses, and we've sort of got into the backstories of how they came to Greene County and what they found here and what it takes to start a business in Greene County and what they've found in the various communities in which they now exist and call home. There's been a lot going on in economic development, both on the chamber side and especially in the Economic Development Corporation in 2024. And we wanted to have James and Beth on to discuss some of the highlights that went on in 2024 and then give us some insight into what's going to happen in 2025 and what we can expect. Beth, you and your team have transformed the Greene County Chamber of Commerce over the past 18 months into something that is incredibly dynamic, incredibly vibrant. I can remember under previous administrations, if they got a few members a quarter, they were really, really happy. And you guys, if you don't get 8 or 10 a month, you're not happy. So it's really been much more inclusive. You guys are incredibly approachable. Your social media feeds are just amazing, and everybody is very eager to become a part of it. And you just got new digs, right?
We did get new digs. We have a beautiful space on Main Street in Catskill. And the thing we love about it most is it's just so welcoming. We have traffic walking by the office all the time, and people pop in and they want to hear what's going on.
That's fantastic. And so now you guys are not stuck in the back of an old brick room somewhere down on the other end of Main Street. You're right in the hub of things. You're right.
We want to interact with people.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's nice for me because I can wave hi and when I walk down and walk home and walk to work.
Yeah, I think that I can see inside your office from my office window. So it's cool to have both touch points so close together, especially when it comes to business development.
We love lunchtime because we get to see everybody in Catskill.
Yep. And that is one of the things that makes the chamber so amazing, is that you guys are so accessible. You can walk in if you've got a question about a business, if you're looking to find something, find a local supplier, find a cool place to shop, find a great place to eat, or talk about businesses in any of the municipalities in Greene County. Beth and her team are there to help. And you just got a new membership director now, right?
Yes, Kylie Bulkey, who's a lifetime Greene County resident. She's tons of energy. She knows so many people, and we're really excited to have her.
It's wonderful to have younger folks coming up, and I say this very proudly, and to be associated with James and Thomas, as those of us that are on the back nine of our careers are looking to see what's going to happen and see the dynamism and the passion and see that shared. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
James, you've had a hell of a year this year.
It's been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Busy but fun.
Yeah.
A lot of new events and projects that have kind of taken hold. A lot of things that we've been kind of putting in the oven for a while have finally finished baking, or at least on the second stage.
At least they proved.
At least, yeah, they're finally going in for the second round. Multi-round is a big one. I think that was a large focus of this last season too, was to talk to folks who were involved with that, even if they weren't. They're still part of this fabric of small business development that's so important to our economy here in Greene County. But the multi-grant especially was a litmus test for understanding the needs of small businesses and trying to get them another program that speaks a little bit more closely to them than what the traditional programs exist here. They're helpful, they're definitely needed, but I think that providing the multi-grant was sort of not to be cliche, but a missing puzzle piece in what we have to offer here.
It definitely is, because you look at economic development across the state, a lot of our contemporaries don't have programs like the multi-grant program. And to toot your horn a little bit, James, some of our neighbors are following suit.
Yeah.
as a result of the good work that our program was able to do.
Yeah, that's true. We have really great relationships with our neighbors to the east and south. I know that Columbia County has a really vibrant program, and my counterpart, legendary economic developer Mike Tucker, is on that side of the river. And it's really great to have, we're connected in a lot of ways, and we
Not just the
talk
bridge.
frequently. Not just the bridge. Yeah, geographically and metaphorically connected. We try to keep each other in the loop, and we share a workforce development service area too. But he's offering a great program. We're offering a great program. We offered some technical assistance to our friends in Ulster County too, who are doing this. And I think especially for rural communities that have populations and demographics similar to what you see in Greene County, when you have economies that are largely built on small businesses.
Yeah.
You need to have programs that speak to them.
Absolutely.
And
this wasn't just free money, this multi-grant
No.
thing. The thing that
It's
really
far
impressed me
from
about
it.
that,
Yeah.
what you had to do to get this grant of up to $25,000
Yeah.
was essentially prepare yourself to succeed in business in Greene County. So can you take us through just a couple of the requirements and some of the things that had to go on?
yeah, the beauty of the whole process, before I get into specifics, is exactly that. It's a preparation for you to think about the future purposefully too, because we had met with a lot of folks who were initially interested because they hear of a grant. And of course, I think we all sometimes get calls to our offices asking about grant programs, how can you help my business, so on and so forth. And when they start,
How do you get OPM? Right?
Yes, OPM.
Other people's money.
Other people's. You start with your money, and then you get reimbursed. We get a lot of people asking about these programs. Of course, we're going to talk to every single one of them. But when it came to this, especially, there's a long list of documents that we need to get. There's an educational training session that is required that you have to attend. There could be
It's like
hiring.
12 hours.
Yeah. There's the education requirements. There could be a hiring requirement. This funding is all reimbursements. You have to have a line of credit or some friends that are willing to give you some money. So to start off, you have to essentially break down different segments of a business plan. So what we ask for on top of the application are probably our schedule of documents to go with the application, go through letters A through Q in the alphabet.
Wow.
And each of them can have different steps. So there's probably at least 25 documents that have to go into the application process, and that includes a background of your project. We have to see financials, we have to see projections, we have to see your marketing plan. We do a credit check, we do a DUNS analysis, we do a number of these things that when we start talking about the process with some of these prospective businesses, they say, oh, that's a lot. And of course it is. And then every Monday night for a month, you have to go to a training session and you learn about the basics of business. And I think that for better or worse, businesses ultimately realize this is more than what I initially thought I was getting into. And then the folks that stay to the end are the ones that it's not, you're taking more than just $25,000 out of the program. You're
Right.
taking a ton of insight from professionals to help you carry forward into the future.
And everybody we talked to about the program when we were at Red Star and seeing Shahan and Kimmy, and then, when, of course, we had a presentation up at Strawbrook Hollow, especially though, Via Ravioli, the place that I cannot get out of without spending $50. It's just the best
$50 you can
the best $50 you could ever spend. And but Kate had an awful lot of experience, and Steve is a pasta maker extraordinaire. Having Sfiglini pasta and then getting out of that and starting a smaller business. But they even talked about the value that they found in the training and the documentation requirements and the step-by-step analysis they had to do to get this money. And they said we walked away with a lot more than just a reimbursement grant.
And we set it up, the process is set up so that by the time you get the check, everything else is done. We keep a very minimal amount. We keep the minimum required amount of time as guided by the state, as required by the state for us to monitor you. And essentially, by the time you get the check, your hiring components have been met. We've gotten and have submitted all of the required documentation. We've gone through all of your expense documentation. And when we come and give you a check, everything else is done. That is the last piece. And then we do these check presentations, and that's sort of the PR side of it. But we only monitor those businesses for as long as we are required to by the state. So for our agreement with the state for this larger grant that we get from the Office of Community Renewal, as long as we need to monitor that program and they're monitoring us, that's it. That's it. So maximum, we're going to be monitoring your business for 2 years. That monitoring is really like, don't move your business, stay in business, don't leave Greene County.
Yeah.
So, but I was talking with our friends at Log Cabin, and they're doing a bang up job up there as well. But that's still daunting as a small business owner. It's running the riskiest business model that there is. Anything can happen.
Sure.
And God forbid something happens, that even then, that baseline liability can still be concerning. I hope that they know that the granting agency of the corporation would be here to help them through anything like that.
Absolutely.
One of the best things that we were able to grab out of that program and process is that it gave us an opportunity to work closer with the chamber as well. And I think that was one of the biggest successes of 2024 is how tight our bond is going.
Here. Okay. I mean, it was just not just the PR stuff, because we all show up for the ribbon cuttings and we all show up for the multi-grant check things. Sometimes we can combine the two of them, but it is a great place to show that we're in lockstep, that the Economic Development Corporation and the Chamber are working together on this. Nobody's playing in each other's sandbox. We're just working together on all of it.
Yeah, I agree. And James and Mark, as you talk through this process and the rigor around this program, and you're naming off the businesses who have been recipients, these are members who are really committed to our community. It's the Chamber's job to promote our members. But of course, it takes some effort on the members' part too, to let us know what's going on. How can we promote them? And the businesses that you're talking about are the ones who consistently engage with us, and they really want to be a part of what's happening in Greene County. They're not just in it to grow their own business, they're really in it to be a part of the community.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking with Steve and Kate especially. They have two other couples that are in the area that are all about the same age, going through the same sort of lifestyle thing. Would be it was Shai and Susan from Breed Street Bottle Shop, and I can't remember who the other couple was, but they have dinner like once a week together, and they're all very, very active.
Like 8 of them go to South America.
Yeah, I think something like that.
It's like 8 Greene County representatives.
And then they also went down to New Orleans at one point as a group of them. It was just really, really fantastic.
When we talk about our contemporaries joining on and not following in our footsteps, but seeing some successful programs, whether it's us or other people. There are so many communities out there that are at odds with each other when it comes to the chamber or the EDO or the IDA. Everybody thinks that they're playing in each other's sandboxes, as Mark said. But when you're able to filter the main purpose and the mission of each of those organizations, they are in separate silos, but they're all part of the same farm. So it's just very important to have those good connections, not only to make our jobs easier, but so that the same audience, because we're serving the same people, the same audience knows that everybody's together fighting the same fight, and there's not a number that you can put on that value.
No, absolutely not. Funny that you say that, because I've been leading the creative team to promote the Buy in Green, Invest Green programs for now 10 years. And when I came back after exiting corporate America, I really wanted to do something that would make a difference in the place that I was born in and I love. But there was a silo thing going on within the Department of Economic Development, Tourism, and Planning. It was economic development was doing one thing and tourism was doing another thing. And over the last 18 months, too, we have now seen a transformation in that, where we realize we're a tourism-based economy here in Greene County. Economic development and tourism are simply two sides of the same coin. Tourism's job is to get people to come here, and our job is to get them to stay here, start a business, raise a family. So that's been an exciting development as well.
Yeah, internally with the county, it's really beneficial to have planning, economic development, and tourism all under the same hat. We do operate a little bit separately because just the mechanics of our jobs and our sub-departments, if you will, force us to do that. But overall, we're serving the same audience.
Indeed.
And I think what makes it easier is that the folks at Economic Development, Planning, and Tourism and the Chamber have a real rapport. All of the individuals are passionate about growth in Greene County. We're excited about it. So it makes it easy to kind of come together and collaborate for the good of the county.
We're all playing on the same team.
Yeah.
It's difficult when you work in communities that don't have that same rapport.
Yeah.
And it's not only they don't have a rapport, but sometimes they view it as competition.
Exactly.
So it's a real value add for folks looking into being part of the business community here.
So we got some good news from a state perspective during the 13th round of the REDC.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of dough for a bunch of Greene County communities that are going to be involved in some capital improvement projects and some housing stuff and things like that.
Yeah, we had a number of really great applications and awards from even the past few rounds of the Capital Region Economic Development Council's CFA awards. And we had 2 Restore New York awards last year as well.
Great.
So Restore New York is a program offered by New York State. It's focused on 2 things, which is incentivizing commercial development while also increasing local housing stock. And it's meant for blighted properties. I think to qualify, they have to be abandoned, vacant, surplus, or condemned properties. There's a certain process you have to go through to prove the minimum level of vacancy, and depending on the project, how close it is to those two intrinsic values of the program is really how an award will be set up. So Catskill last round got an award for the community theater. It's located on Main Street.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yep. Which is going to be now a new performance as well as cinema space.
Yes, it's gonna
from
be-
what we
That's
understand.
one of-
Because my parents got married in 1944, and this is pre-TV, and they lived up on King Street and would walk down to the community 3 times a week to see the newsreels. That was like the big deal. It was one big space back then. It was a balcony, and it had a stage and a projection screen, and there's a full fly space in there behind it. It is a full theater, but it hasn't been used like that for 60 years.
It's a beautiful space.
And again, then it's been walled off as well to make two screening rooms.
There's a few concepts going on. I know that this first round of restore funding is really to provide cosmetic and practical improvements to the space as it stands now in order to utilize it again.
Right.
So taking a few tours of the space, and coming from a 6-year background in managing a nonprofit that owned a theater space.
Right.
It's one of the hardest models to try to revitalize. But with that level of risk and difficulty comes a high level of reward. These theaters were built in these downtowns to be sort of the centerpiece, the shining star of them. So when they are back up full and running and they're serving a purpose that fits that space, because we're also really well endowed in Catskill for having a vibrant performing arts community as
Yes.
well. We have Bridge Street Theater, which does local community theater, and it's incredible. They bring in tons of amazing talent to do shows. There's the post-production studio at Lumberyard, and there's still room for the community theater here. And we look in other communities that have these other performing arts spaces, and it's not always that
And,
lucky,
you know,
right?
we've got Lumberyard, and we've got also Foreland, and all of that came into play as we had a very, very successful first annual Catskills Comedy Festival.
Yeah, I was just thinking
Which
of that.
was just, we had talked about the fact that we have a lot of festivals in Greene County, and people tend to stay on site. And our job there was to engage the entire community with what was going on in that festival. You know, we talked to businesses on Main Street and Bridge Street and all of that, and they're like, we got tons of traffic. It was fantastic. People came into us. They know about us. Some of them have come back. The best part of the whole thing is that I got to see my old friend Bobcat Goldthwait that I had not seen since we were together performing in similar spaces in the 1980s in Syracuse. Yeah.
Still one of the craziest anecdotes you had.
Oh my God.
It's the man behind the curtain.
That's it.
Yeah, that was another, I think, real victory for Catskill and Greene County in general. One of the many events that we have each year to bring people back. And I know that was the inaugural one. I've been talking back and forth with the organizers, and they're planning on doing it again this year. But I think one of the things that was unique about that event, it's within that event, and I'm not saying that other events that are really fruitful for the county are doing anything wrong, but that was one where a driving part of the mission was to go out, patronize the businesses, enjoy the public spaces that are in Catskill, and get out from just one space, because they held it at a number of different venues. I see a lot of other events that are kind of just like staying put in one plot of land, and they have vendors on there, which serves that purpose, and it's still useful.
And that's the old model. You know, you look at something like Gray Fox, which is up in Oak Hill.
It's incredible.
It's an incredible thing, and it works for that because of the fact that you go camping and you have a bluegrass festival, and you're in the middle of nature, and it's gorgeous and all of that, and that's very successful. That's fantastic. But comedy is always by nature a lot more urban, and so even though we're a rural county, having it in a more compact area with lots more interaction to do,
And keeping it walkable. I mean,
and keeping it walkable.
keeping the routes. I mean, walking from a place like Avalon Lounge and having to walk down to Bridge Street Theater, and the office for the space was on Main Street in Catskill, in the old community center, and having to make that triangle of going to all the venues and stopping at those places forces you to walk past these businesses and say, hey, by the way, we're involved in this. Come in, patronize. I know that the Juice Branch in Catskill, for example, had renamed some of their menu items.
They did.
Comedians, which is just a great way of interaction. So I think that we're looking forward to having that back again. But
So moving up the river just a little bit, I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what's been going on in Coxsackie. They were a recipient of the downtown revitalization funding.
they got New York Forward funding in 2023.
2023.
Or 22.
22.
Oh, really? It's been that long. Every time I talk to people, like up on the mountain, we were up at Mountain King Brewery in Wyndham. Okay,
Yeah.
met the most amazing, dynamic bartender I have ever met in my life. She just was hi, how are you? And talking, like, really engaging and all of that. And we told her what we were doing. We were shooting a reel up there, and she was just phenomenal. She's in bartending, but she's in law school right now. Wow. So, okay. Gabrielle was just an absolute joy to have a conversation with. And it wasn't just us. Other people came in, and she was just as engaging with them. Mm-hmm. When I said to her, I said, have you been down to James Newbury, or down to Shipwreck, or down to Unquiet or Ravish Liquor down in Coxsackie? And she goes, I haven't been to Coxsackie in years. And I'm like, if you haven't been to Coxsackie in the last 3 years, you haven't been to Coxsackie. I mean, it is just, it's totally different.
From Wyndham to Coxsackie, you want to take that helicopter on the way out from the mountain.
I think someone up there can help you with that.
Right? Yeah.
But you guys hold your annual event in Coxsackie every year, too, at the
We
Wire,
do,
right?
at the Wire Event Center. It's great. Mm-hmm. And it's our biggest event of the year, our Best of Greene County Awards celebration. And we're gearing up for that in March. It's going to be the biggest.
You have finalists right now, right?
We do. Yeah. Finalists have been announced. So.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, geez, I've got to...
There's still time to vote.
Get on the voting, Mark.
I went in and nominated, and then I forgot to go and vote, so I'm going to have to go vote.
That's the most important part.
Yeah, that's it. But voting closes...
February 23rd.
February 23rd. Okay.
And then everyone has to wait until March 28th to find out who the winners are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for that event. It's always a fun time.
It's a great time. Who's got the music venue this year for?
The Wallpapers.
I love the Wallpapers.
We love the Wallpapers.
Their playlist is like my life. Every tune that I really, really dig.
And we're hoping to work a bit with the James Newbury Hotel, so maybe we can have a little happy hour before the event, so that we're sure to get people dancing when the Wallpapers are playing.
Well,
yes, it's more time to consume. I think people loosened up. Yeah.
If we have a happy hour up at Daylight, we can have oysters.
Yep.
I
know that'd be great. Coxsackie, I think one of their biggest successes as well. They had gotten a Restore New York grant, I want to say also in 22 or 23 for the Dolan block, but that process with the New York Forward funding is you apply with a slate of projects, and then the state makes an announcement that says, congratulations, we like the slate, you've been earmarked this money. You go back through the planning process again, and you submit an unranked slate of projects that you want to get funded to the state, and then they take more time to deliberate and say, okay, here's what's funded. Mm-hmm. And last year, I believe it was, that they finally got word that their projects were funded. Yeah. And so they were able to allocate the entirety of that $4.5 million. Oh, that's and a lot of that is going into the Dolan block. It's going into increasing artist housing. There's a new artist housing project done by the Kearney Group, I believe, that got funded there, and they're known throughout the state for doing incredibly impactful catalytic projects for these downtown areas. I don't know if you've ever been to Coxsackie with a cell phone that has Verizon or AT&T or any other network, but don't expect to use your cell phone when you get to downtown Coxsackie, because forever the service is bad or non-existent. Mm-hmm. But one of the projects is to develop a camouflage cell tower. And
I'm so happy
here,
with
which is going to be. Those are one of those quality of life pieces.
Yes.
I was talking with Joe Warren about that at the Greene County Historical Society meeting. That's I said, State Tel is right there.
I know.
What?
I think it's going on the state.
Yeah, it's going on the State Tel building. They went through so much garbage about people when the Newbury was being built because of the fact that it disrupted the view to the river.
Yeah.
It was an eyesore before they built anything
but at
down
least
there.
There was airspace available.
Right, so my God, and now you've got this destination that is bringing so many people into the area, and then the state redo of the state boat launch at not Dutchman's Landing, that's Catskill, it's Riverside Park in Coxsackie. Yeah. We've got boat launches and great access to the Hudson River. I get them confused sometimes. But there's a huge pavilion there, and the actual walkability from that to downtown businesses. We were covering over the Christmas time. They had a Christmas by the river down on Reed Street and Water Street in Coxsackie, and every one of those local businesses was out in the street. Plus, they had a bunch of other vendors that were there.
And
the traffic was amazing, and they all work together.
They come together and support each other. It's really great to see.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, James, you were talking about some of the capital improvements that over the next few years are really going to benefit people that live here and are seeking to come here and start a business. Maybe you can outline some of those for us.
Sure, yeah. So our office, I serve two roles, right? Executive Director of the corporation, and then the Director of Economic Development, and that's within planning and tourism and economic development. Our office is led by the Deputy County Administrator. He handles the majority of the county capital projects. So any municipal project you see that's led by the county originates and is managed by a combination of our office and the county administrator's office. between 2023 and 2024, we broke ground on two very major capital projects that are directly going to impact even the structure of the county building itself. The first is the $28 million Justice Center in downtown Catskill.
Adjacent to the historic courthouse, right?
Annex to the historic courthouse. Right. It's this 3-story structure that's going to provide better facilities for both the district attorney and other county judicial offices to sort of relocate over there. State-of-the-art, beautiful new building. That was the site of the old jail. That was only torn down because the county, of course, built a new jail in Coxsackie as well. So that broke ground. There's iron up right now. I think that there's definitely concrete. They're starting to frame the whole thing in, which is amazing. And by iron, I meant steel.
Yeah.
Secondly, we also started and broke ground on the Greene County Tourism Center, which, if anybody's familiar, coming off of exit 21 on 87, we used to have a very small tourism center just off to the right as you were exiting, which has since been torn down as a larger project, a joint effort between the Greene County IDA and Economic Development to develop a commerce park that's going to be home to a 93-room Hilton chain restaurant and what has now been rebuilt as a brand new Stewart's.
That Stewart's is just a godsend for me because I live in Jefferson Heights, and I'll tell you what, they're closer to you. Stewart's is closer to you, and it's
there's something about Stewart's. I'm going to get off on a quick tangent before digressing, but I think that whenever you are on your way somewhere, especially in upstate New York in this sort of region, you may not know exactly where you are, but if you get off the thruway and you're like, Stewart's, you immediately feel comfortable.
it's like Wawa in New
that's true.
Jersey,
Yeah,
you know.
and that's coming from me who grew up in Johnstown, where I have not seen this before, but there's two Stewart's diagonal on the same corner on Route 30 in Briggs Street in Johnstown, New York, and then there's another one in downtown on Main Street in Fort Perry in Maine.
Well, when the ice cream line is too long.
Yeah,
It's
yes,
good to
that's
have
it,
options.
And one has Stewart's gas, I think one has Sunoco gas, and they both operate. And like this is it's Stewart's.
It's like Starbucks, you know, on adjacent corners. It's the same sort of
It's
thing.
nuts. So I'm always happy to see one. The old Stewart's building, the county and Stewart's did a trade-off. We gave them our tourism property, and they gave us their old building. And we've since decked it out to not look like a Stewart's anymore without demolishing the structure, but putting in.
Well, it's a whole new roof system that, and there's a gable that comes
Yes.
out of the front,
It's like a
makes it
gap
look
gable,
really.
yeah.
And I see that every day too as I'm driving by. But it's nice to see how they actually were doing that because at one point they had the two side trusses all set up,
Yeah.
and the gable portion was just not there,
Yeah.
and it looked like okay, they just ran out of materials. We're not.
There, and the great part is that I think all the Tyvek is up, but
Yeah.
they had a schedule. Are temporarily housing them in an annex portion of our office here, so now we're like one big happy family. But they're slated for June for that
Wow.
for that building to be open.
But they really do need, as part of their mission, they need to be engaging the public.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and you know, that gateway right there, just off the exit 21 in Catskill, is where a predominant amount of traffic comes into the county.
Find a pretty spot to park that Bronco.
That's it.
But it's great too because from that parking lot, your choice is either am I going up the hill,
Uh-huh.
am I getting into nature, or am I headed to urban downtown Catskill?
Yeah.
You kind of get your bearings
That's
there.
it. That's it.
They amplified the view shed behind that too. They tore down some vegetation. You can see the mountains right behind it. which is
And
great.
that's perfect. Yeah.
So those two are major. We finished out the Coyote Preserve as well. It's a research center right on the Hudson River at the end of the Coyote Preserve. That is, I don't know if it's open to the public in
It
general.
is, the
but
research center is not necessarily open to the public, but it's affiliated with a bunch of educational institutions around here where they can actually do research on the Hudson River. Now it's got high-speed fiber, and it's
Yeah.
got heat, and it's got really good power, and it's phenomenal. But the walking trails along the Coyote Preserve are definitely
beautiful.
open to the public.
It was originally an ice harvesting
It was,
area.
it was originally nice.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Columbia Greene is the only college in New York State that has direct access. to that.
Absolutely,
Yes.
that is correct. Yeah,
Yep.
that is
So
correct.
it's a really great asset for them. It is also was definitely a project that needed to happen for a long time. It's just another thing that we can put in our hat as we're in this great position economically for the county that we're able to put our money where our mouth is and invest heavily into public amenities.
Yes.
So
So you mentioned Columbia Greene, and one of the biggest keys in our workforce development programs that we're working on together jointly with the chamber and with the Economic Development Corporation, as well as with the Workforce Center here in Catskill and in Columbia County, is their construction technologies program.
Yes.
And the Construction Technology Center, we were over there because we're having a tiny house built by them, which is awesome. It is state of the art. You've got 30-foot ceilings that have drop down, not just drop down electrical on a spool, but drop down air, so that you pull something in and you can just create. Students that are there are just so engaged. They're absolutely engaged, and so we're going to be talking an awful lot more about that. But Columbia Greene is definitely an asset for our community, and will prove to be an asset for workforce in the trades and in healthcare as people are looking to relocate here.
And just to make a connection, that program reaches out to the chamber, and we connect them with some of the businesses in Greene County, the trades, and they pull those students in for internship programs, and it's really a nice connection.
The pipeline as it's built is really useful, and I think that this would be even interesting, maybe a future episode, to have someone like Jim Church from Questar on.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Because the pipeline of developing the trade-centered workforce is, the reality of our economy right now is largely built on retail and small business. And there's some healthcare involved, but it's largely government services too.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we have these really popular trade programs, and it leads to a drain of that talent going somewhere else. Where I'm sure everybody can really empathize with how long it takes to get a plumber or an electrician here in Greene County, because there's just so much pent-up demand. But the services and programs that are offered initially through a BOCES program in a place like Questar, and building a seamless transition into getting certifications and other programs at Columbia Greene is so useful. And I truly believe it's undermarketed, that a lot of folks don't know that exists.
Yeah, that's what we're taking that bull by the horns this year coming. So that's
Yes,
one
we
of the
are. Working Greene. That's going to be
Working
one of our new
Greene.
taglines.
Working Greene.
I want to talk about a lot of our new initiatives as far as business outreach goes. You have some new great programs that you're launching as well. I want to hear more about the Business Resource Center.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So as we mentioned earlier, we have this great new space on Main Street. It's at 432 Main Street. And when we moved in, we were thrilled to see the entire wall. One wall of our office is vertical shelving from floor to almost ceiling. So we've got 10 rows of vertical shelves, and we decided to turn that space into a business discovery center, where each vertical will be a grouping of business or organization
vertical.
categories. Yes. And we'll have great navigational signs so visitors can come in and they can find all of the marketing information from not just our businesses, but also nonprofits, the arts, outdoor adventure, all of the things that, in addition to what tourism offers, we have this little outlet now on Main Street in Catskill where people can stop in and find anything they're looking for in the county. And it's a great opportunity for us to really welcome the community in, and we have an opportunity to represent our members and not just hand them a brochure, but engage with people and get people excited about what we have to offer. So we're hoping, it's in the works now, the signage is going up. We're hoping to have it all in place for an event we're calling the Chamber Coffee Break, which will be on February 26th, and that's welcoming our members in to get a first glimpse at this Business Discovery Center.
I think there's something really special to be said about strategic placement of materials, because a lot of times it's very easy just to have rack cards out or have these plaques out, just kind of plugging them in wherever they fit, but to have an actual strategy and for it to be cohesive is really useful. It's a great benefit.
Jeez, I wonder if the president and executive director happens to have any marketing experience. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit. But we knew it would be a home run because we reached out to members, Greene County Economic Development Corporation included, to see if anybody would be interested in sponsoring this project. And the response was overwhelming. I mean, we have 9 sponsors for this project, and they're all excited and checking in to see how it's going.
Awesome.
We're trying to engage like prospective business owners and especially prospective business owners or people who are even thinking of being an entrepreneur a little bit more strategically this year.
Absolutely. We have in market right now, we have Are You Ready to Own Your Dream Business in Greene County, New York? And it's an interactive quiz that we soft launched with the Prospective newsletter that we send to about 3,000 people that expressed interest in Greene County, doing business in Greene County over the years. And we find out what they know or don't know about running a business and what they may need. And depending where they off-ramp on the quiz, they get an offer for first question, for instance, is, do you have a business plan? If they answer no, then they go directly to our free business plan template. And then they're invited to come back and take the quiz. If they go through the entire quiz, we were able to rank them in 3 different areas, one of which they need more nurturing, and we've got an automated nurturing flow that's going to be able to send them more information and check in with them. always an opportunity to reach out directly to the Invest Green team here to talk to a real human being. But a lot of people just like to do the interaction thing. Mid-1 is something that goes on the watch list, and that's where we put that dossier of what they've done into a nurturing file in your content management system. And so you'll be able to see this is this whole group of people, and we can sort and look at who they are and where they are on the chain. And then if they score high enough, that's direct contact. That's somebody that goes directly to you and Thomas and will say, reach out and assess it directly. And so we're testing it for the first time. We're going to see how this works, but the logic seems really, really sound in the quiz. And we previously tested this with a which Greene County community is right for you quiz that did exceptionally well.
That's great.
And based on your answers to 5 questions, it will give you either a town or village or group of towns. And it's really quick, and we're continuing to get a lot of response from that.
I can help those people find a realtor.
Very good.
Again, more opportunity for integration.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that when we were planning this and planning the off-ramps especially, and okay, what is the final product that's going to come out of Are You Ready to Own a Business? Is setting them up with a business plan that already fits the format of what we have established for the multi-grant or quantum loan fund or things like that.
Or anything that they're going to need.
Right, but they're essentially asking for the same information. So when we ask for those 25, 30 documents in a multi-grant application, the outcome and the final product of the business planning quiz is to build a business plan that is populating those documents.
Right.
So that by the time you're there, you're probably ready for funding. And we've now expedited the process that it takes. And Thomas and I are happy to meet and discuss what you need to do to improve your application and make it more viable. But when we're able to hook you with a quiz and then go through the process, spit something out that's populated and ready to go, we've already saved an enormous amount of time for you to get your funding.
Absolutely.
So that was supposed to be a major outcome of that. I'm excited to work on it further too. What else do we do for marketing this year? We rebranded.
We rebranded. We wanted to make sure that everybody understood that Buy in Green and Invest Green were the 2 initiatives of the Greene County Economic Development Corporation. So we kind of fused those things together. We still have singular marketing based on what Buy in Green for consumer attraction or consumer engagement, I should say, and Invest Green for business attraction. But the overarching idea of having those 2 being the 2 key programs of the Greene County Economic Development Corporation. Podcasts have been doing incredibly well.
I was going to say, it's year anniversary for podcasts, isn't it?
When it comes to advertising and marketing strategy, we're not in an information age anymore. We're in an attention age, okay? We have to capture their attention because that's the most viable commodity that's out there. Because if you've got somebody's attention, they can't pay attention to somebody else. Right. And the attention span of most people now in a scrolling economy, it's about 15 seconds. So we've been producing these 15 to 20 second video reels about businesses, experiences, and communities for the past year. The 47 we produced last year, they're over 150,000 views. So it's like we're really, really excited about leveraging that and moving forward and doing more short-form video that really takes you into what's going on. We're also going to be revamping all of the virtual Main Street pages because it's outdated technology.
Yes.
We're going to go entirely to video now, so that because that's where people are. And over the course of this year coming, we'll be reworking each one of those, and then
That's a big
hopefully adding a few more.
Yeah.
But
That's exciting.
yeah. So Beth, what have you got coming up next year?
Well, Mark.
Pull out the scroll.
Well, it's been interesting. I mean, I just stepped into this role January 1st.
Yes.
And coming from a sales and marketing background, I have a million ideas and I want to implement everything immediately. But I'm trying to put the brakes on a little bit to be a bit more strategic. It's kind of a new team. So what do our members really want? What are they looking for? What are the things that will really propel them? How can I get those people to collaborate? So we're really focused this year on creating events where people can come together and network. Some of them a little more structured, some of them very casual. Like
Well, Business After Hours is my favorite.
Business After Hours is great because
Yeah.
it's unstructured. There's always cocktails. Our member restaurants provide wonderful food that's gratis. Those keep growing. We had almost 60 people at an event we had last night
Oh,
in downtown Coxsackie.
Yeah,
at Chick Fil-A.
Chick-fil-A,
Yeah, it was wonderful. We're focused a lot on networking. Again, the Business Discovery Center to really spread the word and raise awareness for the members who we have. In general, I don't have a chamber background up until 2 years ago. It's been really interesting to see what brings people to the chamber. 85% of our chamber members are businesses or organizations that are 10 people or less. So we have this really interesting combination of community where small businesses come to us because they need something. They need promotion, they need awareness, they may need help with marketing ideas. So they come looking for resources. And then we have our bigger businesses or bigger partners in Greene County who are coming because they want to offer leadership and they want to give us sponsorship support. So I'm really trying to look at how do I pull those two groups and those two desires together for the benefit of all of those members. So I'll keep you posted on
That's
what's
awesome.
up for next year. But for this year, we've got some big events coming. We've got our Best of Greene County Awards celebration, March 28th at the Wire in Coxsackie. We, of course, have everyone's favorite Greene County Restaurant Week. And it's not just about what the restaurants are already offering. Their menus are fantastic anyway, but they create a menu for this event that's really special, and that's really fun. So that's happening in April. As always, go to greenecountychamber.com to find out what's happening on our events calendar.
So, James, I mean, if there's a takeaway to this particular episode as we wrap up the first season, is that Greene County is a place where you can not only come and live in a place that you'll love, but you can find the support that you need both in the public sector and the private sector that are going to be able to help you succeed if you want to start a business here. And putting names with voices on a podcast, just the fact that you can reach out and go to greenecountyedc.com if you're interested in more information, or greenecountychamber.com if you're interested in more information on the chamber, or just simply follow us on any of our social media feeds.
Yeah, I would agree. We have an office in a public building. We have a strict open door policy. We have a team of people where this year especially we're able to go through a little bit of strategic restructuring of where each team member is sort of focusing. We've got folks for general inquiries no matter what level of preparedness you are on starting a business or expanding your business. We did that with the 12 businesses that we were able to provide multi-grant funding with. Met with every single one of them, walked them through the process, and even talking to people through the pipeline. This year, I know that we're going to be working on a new program where we're incorporating the chamber in the educational efforts in getting some of their members as professional speakers to offer guidance. We do that with private businesses. We also do it for municipalities. We were able to sit down with 3 different communities this past year and offer technical assistance on the really competitive Downtown Revitalization Initiative and Europe Forward initiatives to make sure that they are ready to submit an application, work within the state, use our experience that we have in those programs to make them the most competitive applications that they can, while also empowering the municipalities to be the captains of their own ships. At the same time, of working with a number of small businesses, I work primarily with larger employer centers and really guiding the effort for strategic business development when it comes to diversifying employment centers. With that comes site development opportunities, and we start looking for engaging landowners that have competitive swaths of land that really could put Greene County on this next tier of being competitive when it comes to site selection. We've worked with businesses like Gray Willow this past year to secure community development block grant funding so that they could open that state-of-the-art microbrewery out in Earlton.
Attached to an absolutely wonderful restaurant.
Yes. Yes.
It's packed every night.
It's all about the food with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful establishment. Thomas and I went out to go see them when they were first conceptualizing this idea, and there was a poured concrete floor with a frame of a bar.
Yeah.
And the next time we went in, it's this beautiful, backlit,
incredible place.
underlit, lo-fi, amazing place with great food and beer. And it's really comforting to know that we were able to help them secure state money so that they could purchase everything they needed to within the confines of that grant. So with our very strong relationships with our counterparts like the Greene County Chamber, like the IDA, we have a very broad scope of how we're providing services. It's to the municipalities if they think they want to go for a grant for anything from a comprehensive plan to a $25 million new build housing project. For small businesses, if it's one owner or we're looking at relocating another business that's going to bring 100 employees. We are the origin, landing ground for where to start. And even if we're not giving you direct assistance when it comes to securing grants, we're going to get you in touch with the right people, whether it's a federal, state, local, regional agency that can help do that.
Awesome. We're putting together the schedule of episodes for next year, so we don't really have one to two sort of tee up for what season 2 opener is, but we will make every effort to make it as engaging as possible and get season 2 started off with a bang. But Thomas, it's been a pleasure doing the first season with you, and I look forward to doing many, many more.
I do as well. It's been really exciting. It's been great learning about how collaborative and dynamic our businesses are in Greene County and how you know everybody that's ever lived in Greene County. And thank you to James and Beth for closing out season 1 with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be here.
Well, that's a wrap on another jam-up episode of the Best Kept Secrets of Greene County, New York podcast. Thank you again, everybody, and thank you for listening. Until next time, we have places to go, things to do, and stories to tell.